Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Hopefully you guys are all having a wonderful day. Today's upload is a bit more serious. There's a potential, as many of you know, for Hurricane Florence. Now it is still a tropical storm. It has degraded down to a tropical storm. It once was a major hurricane, now back to a tropical storm, and it's forecasted to almost 100% to get back into a major hurricane status, and it might hit the United States. So that just says it itself. Very scary situation setting up, something we'll definitely need to keep an eye on for. At the beginning, I just made a video saying, okay, we have a threat, but that is basically it as of now. Now, it's a significant threat, and as we're getting closer, over the weekend, if it still is forecasted to hit the United States, that is a likelihood, not even a threat or a possibility. So, if you want to get more of these updates, if you like the things I'm doing, consider subscribing to my channel. It's a great way to support my channel. If you're an old returning member but you still haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. Helps out my channel. If you're new, check out my channel, check out my videos, and then you could consider subscribing. So, let's get into this. So right now we have a bunch of different depressions, storms, invest areas. So if we go quickly to the National Hurricane Center website, what we see here is remnants of Tropical Depression Gordon across the United States. We have a disturbance that is located right by Bermuda, and it has a very low chance of developing and might get swallowed up by Florence. Then we have Florence, which is our main concern. Right now it's at 65, a tropical storm. It's not a hurricane, it has weakened, but I will show you in a minute what it is forecast to do. Then we have Tropical Depression 9, and then we have Tropical Depression 8, and these both are forecasted to become hurricanes. So the Atlantic Ocean is going berserks, and we have a lot to track. So first, let's go to Florence, Tropical Storm Florence. Tropical Storm Florence is, you can see it's going to remain a storm until about through the weekend, and then once it's into Monday, it should be a hurricane, and then for a couple of days, not even one full day, it will be a hurricane before excelling into a major hurricane. You can see 2 p.m. Wednesday, 2 p.m. Tuesday, it's already a major hurricane, and it's well on its track to hit the United States. And at this point, it seems that either South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, and it doesn't seem that likely at this point that New York City will get hit. That was a possibility earlier. Now it's set itself further to the south. However, again, it's still, we don't even know if it may not hit the United States. But you see this cone, and that's not the cone of impacts. That's anywhere the center that could travel. So it could travel anywhere along here. That would still be set to hit the United States coast. But sorry, I need to sneeze. Pardon me. But it may travel along. Sorry, I'm really sorry, guys. I apologize. And it may travel across this location, this white line right here, the center of the storm, and it may do one of these maneuvers where it treks out into the ocean. That would be the best case scenario. However, that does not seem likely at this point. And the most, if you click on forecast track line, this is where it's forecasted to track the center. But as of now, you can see the cone contains a probable path of the storm center. Does not show the size of the storm. Hazardous conditions can occur outside of the cone. So you may be wondering, oh yeah, because it's growing in size, that's why it's getting larger out here. No, it's just that the closer you get to the storm, the less they have the more confidence in it. So they're like, oh, it's gonna go somewhere from here to here. But as we go out further into the time frame, out into the next week, we could see it anywhere traveling from here to here. It could hit Florida, it could hit Virginia. We don't really know. It could hit any of those locations. But at this point, it seems like we have narrowed it down to around the Mid-Atlantic to Florida. Earlier, Northeast, Upper Northeast was also in, possibly, but this time it doesn't seem like if it will be. But again, that could still change. So let's go to wind speed probabilities. You can see that the tropical winds, this is tropical storm force wind probabilities. You can see that the center is still, this is 5 days out. So again, as we go further on, this will get closer and closer to land if it's forecasted to make a landfall. And this is, you can see some of the, U.S. coast is already within that 10 to 20% range of that tropical storm force winds. If you're wondering, hurricane wind speed probability, you can see it's going to increase, trust me. This is soon going to be filled with purple, reds, and oranges soon enough. Because this is definitely going to intensify, definitely going to be stronger. So here is the earliest reasonable arrival time of tropical storm force winds. So by Tuesday 8 p.m. you can see it's going to be, maybe 100, 200 miles, maybe 300 miles off the coast of the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And then eventually, see that? Yeah, that could eventually be hitting parts of the East Coast. So this is very concerning. This is a serious situation, nothing to be taken lightheartedly. And so right now I want to show you, this is what the GFS thinks, and GFS is a weather model that forecasts systems like hurricane storms and anything along those lines. So So we could see that this hurricane is right here, or this tropical storm. This is Tropical Storm Florence as of now, and as we move on forward into, this is already Monday. Here's the day. If you want to keep track, let me zoom in on this. So this is an easier job for you guys to look at this. Okay, let me go back up now. Close this, and this is 12 o'clock. This is Monday, September 10th, around I think 7 o'clock in the morning. So you can see it's quickly intensifying. This is already at this point would be somewhere around a Category 3. I think it would be major hurricane at this point. And then you can see it really drops down 9:37 before, according to the GFS, hitting the U.S. coast, which would be an absolute disaster. It would be catastrophe. But it is likely. It is possible only, so it's only a possibility. That doesn't mean it will necessarily happen. But you can see afterwards, if we were to keep track of these right here, these depressions that I was earlier talking about, you can see that's 9 and that's 8. 9 decides to take a track right through the Leeward Islands, and 8 decides to go just further up north and really doesn't cause much of an issue. However, you can see this little sneaky storm decides to go into the Gulf of Mexico, and then at that point it just explodes and could hit parts of the Florida again, like Tropical Storm Gordon did, and in that same vicinity of area. So we'll need to watch that even after Hurricane Florence hits or doesn't hit the U.S. And I'd like to show you now this website. This is called Vent2Sky, and Vent2Sky is a great website. It shows you a very nice visual representation of what the hurricane may look like. So this is, as of today, 10 o'clock in the afternoon, which will be in a couple of hours here. And as of now, it is, or at that point, it will be around 64, 65, just what it's forecasted to be. So let's switch it to Saturday, and now this is going to be, let's go to like Saturday 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it hasn't intensified insanely, just by a couple of digits just went up. Then by 10 o'clock in the afternoon, it has grown basically almost hurricane status. There will be, I think, hurricane hunters flying out this weekend to view this storm and to investigate on its conditions and get a better measurement of how exactly strong it will be. So now this is Sunday, the 9th, Sunday the 9th, and at this point it is definitely a hurricane. This is, by the way, wind speed, not wind gusts, so this is sustained wind. It is around 90-95 miles per hour at its peak, so that is already definitely a Category 1 hurricane. And then if we go to Monday the 10th, it really does intensify quickly into a, I think this is at this point a Category 2 hurricane. Yeah, let's pull up the Saffir-Simpson scale. Let's pull this up quickly, and let's go on images so I could see Okay, so a Category 2 hurricane is 96. Okay, yeah. So a Category 3 is anywhere from 110 to 130, I'm fairly sure. Yes, it is. So we go back to Vent2Sky, and this is Monday, the 10th, which is in a couple of days. It will be a Category 3 hurricane at this point with a well-defined eye, nice inflow boundary, nice outflow boundary, just a perfect example of a hurricane. You can still see it's still far out from the United States coast. So at this point is basically where it's where we can still be like, okay, this could still turn out into the ocean, or it could still go somewhere else, not just the United States or any piece of land. And then we go into the Tuesday 11th, and at this point, the things are getting more serious and grim. There's less and less chances of this turning back. And at this point, probably by Tuesday, we will be knowing whether it's going to hit the U.S. coast or not. And at this point, I think it may be reaching Category 4 stance, potentially in some of the wind gust areas for sure, but still around that Category 3 benchmark. as a major hurricane. So we go to the 12th, the Wednesday, and let's just give you a better representation of this, of how close it is. At this point, there's just no turning back. This is, if this were to become true, and this is what's forecasted to be on Wednesday, things are about to go down, and a disaster is waiting to happen. This is basically a bundle of sticks, bundle of timber waiting to get lighted, and that's what the Atlantic Ocean was the whole season. And if we go to the top limits, around 115, so still a Category 3 hurricane, which is very strong. And then this may not do the best justice, but it can be around, maybe around a Category 4 hurricane at right before landfall. So that would be just horrible, but it is possible. And if we go to wind gusts, that's just a whole different story. You could see that it definitely deepens in color, and we could see wind gusts wind gusts that are Category 4 strength. So if we go to the Saffir-Simpson scale, Category 4 is 131, 155, and that would be in wind gusts. In wind gusts, that's what it would be, a Category 4 hurricane. So, technically, it would be qualified as a Category 3, but still, things still may change, and there may be a increase in wind speed and maybe a decrease. But you can see that's just a heart-dropping, jaw-dropping, butterfly feeling in your stomach and heart and jaw when you look at this storm right by the East Coast. That is definitely not a good thing. And then as we go on here, we also need to keep going after the storm. We need to keep an eye on for this tropical storm, hurricane, depression, whatever it may be at that time. And also, even if it does impact across southern parts of the United States, this could still produce torrential rainfalls as it moves up the East Coast as a tropical storm or depression. So there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on. I would like to show you the potential track area of this storm. Right now, this is what all the models, the spaghetti models, are showing. So you can see a lot of them are showing landfall. Some of them are showing a divergence from this, like this model. I don't know, that is a CLP5 model. This purple colored model, which is a AEMN model, and I don't know half these models, guys, but all I know is that usually majority wins with these models, and a couple days ago these models were still all basically showing away from the coast, now closer and closer to the shore. So this is definitely not a good looking thing, and this is very concerning. So this is definitely something we need to keep an eye on for if you want to see Hurricane Florence. As of now, this is Tropical Storm Florence. You can see it's very disorganized. It looks just like a wave, but it is getting more and more organized, and soon, again, like I mentioned, will be a major hurricane. So again, if we were to look at the forecasted track of the storm, or the tropical storm as of now, this is what it is: a storm all the way to about Sunday morning, and then afterwards it could become a hurricane, and then a major hurricane, borderline Category 4 hurricane. So this is definitely something that we will need to keep an eye on for. This is something that is serious. If we look at its previous wind history, you can see that the red areas is forest wind swaths of Florence, hurricane force wind swaths. So anywhere that the red was, that's where the hurricane was. So you can see that Tropical Storm Florence was a hurricane, and as of now, it is a tropical storm. Sorry that I'm using these terms intermixed, but it's just confusing, because why call it a tropical storm and undermine the situation when this will be a hurricane within 48 hours? So I really don't, it comes out of my mind, comes out of my mouth. Same thing with the ENCO, even though it's ENZO or ENSO. If you've watched any of my Winter Outlook videos. So that is basically it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Please consider liking the video. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next episode.